Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel. And Henry Cavill, whew, man, he's getting raked over the damn coals today over a legitimate fear brought on by the Me Too movement. And if you don't think that what he's talking about is legitimately fearful, then you're not a man. And if you are a man, then you are in a safe position. For men out there who are dating right now, this is a big thing, especially if you're one in Hollywood, especially if you're someone like Henry Cavill, who's at the top of his career, starring as Superman, starring in the new Mission Impossible, and being probably one of the fittest, hunkiest men on the planet. Yeah, I'm comfortable enough with my sexuality to say he is an attractive looking man, and he has every reason to be fearful for what's going on in Hollywood right now. But apparently people aren't too happy about it. So it says here that the Me Too movement has called out and torpedoed the careers of several famous men. And now one in particular says he's scared to date because of it, which is true. It's true. Look, Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, predators. Okay, they're predators. There's no other way to describe it. Aziz Ansari and James Franco, not predators. Just dudes who have had bad dates or been in shitty situations. But Aziz Ansari was called out right after winning the Golden Globe for his role in Master of None. And then the next day, an anonymous article came out from Babe.net accusing him of impropriety on a bad date. And since then, his career has basically stalwarted. Netflix hasn't canceled the show, but they haven't announced season 3 after all the wins and the accolades that the show brought in. And considering that that's what they're all about right now, you figure they would want to play up one of their biggest things. But no. Me Too took another career, right? Put one on hiatus, did all those things. But no one cares, right? Because of the almighty sisterhood. I got no idea at this point. I got no idea. Now, here's what Henry Cavill did. That's so bad. In a lengthy interview with GQ Australia, Henry Cavill opened up about how the Me Too movement has had a direct impact on his love life, saying there's something wonderful about a man chasing a woman. There's a traditional approach to that, which is nice. I think a woman should be wooed and chased, but maybe I'm old-fashioned in thinking that. But then he went on to say that it's very difficult to pursue women that way if there are certain rules in place. Now, this is what got him probably, I'd say, most of the trouble, but he's got a fair point. Throughout history, courting relationships have kind of been a rather standard social thing. There's a lot of social dynamics that go into that kind of, that go into the pursuit of a potential mate. And oftentimes that's harmless. It's fun. You hear stories about how there's like the meet cute and the couples who randomly bump into one another, or you'll hear the story of like, well, your father, he kept aggressively pursuing me, like flowers and trinkets and things, but it turned into love. Not anymore. Not in 2018 America. That's considered a harassment and stalking. They get you locked up in jail if Me Too had its way. Now, that might be a hyperbolic thing for me to say, but it does kind of ring true to where we currently find ourselves, which is unfortunate. As someone like Henry Cavill, who at this point has everything to lose, is legitimately fearful for trying to find a suitable mate because he doesn't know if he kisses the wrong frog if it's going to tank everything that he's done. Now, a part of the response back to this, well, if you don't want to be called a rapist, then don't rape. Okay. Yeah. Never mind that word gets tossed around a lot these days, as well as sexist and misogynistic and words like that have a very damaging and lasting impact on someone's reputation and career. But no. In the age of Me Too, it's okay. It's okay to do this sort of thing, right? It's okay to do this. No, it's not. It's never okay to do it. It's never okay. But people aren't speaking up about it in the negative because they don't want to get caught up in that political minefield. They don't. But Henry Cavill here speaks up and says, I'm legitimately afraid to date because I don't know what's going to be thrown at me. How many false accusations of rape have there been recently? A fair amount. A fair amount. And after that person's name is dragged through the mud, based upon that false accusation, and they get their vindication, you can't unring that bell. You can't put that genie back in that bottle. It doesn't work that way. But unfortunately, people don't care. And he goes on to say here, because then it's like, well, I don't want to go up and talk to her because I might be called a rapist or something. So you're like, forget it. I'm just going to go back to an ex-girlfriend instead, and then just go back to a relationship which never really worked. But it's safer than casting myself into the fires of hell because I'm someone in the public eye. And if I go flirt with someone, then who knows what's going to happen? And again, that's right. So instead of, saying like, hey, this is a good guy who wants to go out and meet someone who's suitable partner for him, he's afraid of that. He's afraid of losing everything. So he goes back to an ex because it's safe. It's safe from those accusations, mostly, right? But someone who he knows he can trust and someone who he knows he's not going to be put in that position. But that's not the type of relationship that he wants. That's not the type of companionship that he wants. It ended for a reason. And going back to it out of fear is not going to make it better. It's not going to allow him to find the right partner that will back him and he backs her. And together they create a very valid and complementary life, a very fulfilled life. Instead, he finds himself in this broken, busted relationship that he's in because he desires. He knows people that have been accused that he knows didn't do it. He doesn't say it here, but you know that's where it's coming from. He has friends who have been falsely accused and he can't say anything. Now, that's me speculating, but I would bet top dollar that I'm relatively right. Now, people on Twitter weren't impressed. Woman here, Helen Price, so eloquently puts it. This is absurd. If Henry Cavill doesn't want to be called a rapist, then all he has to do is not rape. Yeah, thanks for the insightful commentary there, Helen. It's not as simple as that. Aziz Ansari didn't commit sexual assault, engaged in consensual foolery with the woman he was with, and she didn't have a good time, but she also didn't leave, didn't say no, didn't put a stop to it, went along with it, and then still found a way to accuse him of impropriety, which then has effectively cost him his career. So yeah, no, you can be just don't do it, just don't do it, and you'll be fine. Yeah, obviously that's not the case. That is not the case. I love she goes on to say here, the mental gymnastics some men are doing to position themselves as victim of Me Too is insane. Oh yes, because no one can ever be falsely accused. No, Helen, no one can ever be falsely accused. Right? That's a load of crap, and you know it. People get falsely accused all the time. But we're in the age of listen and believe, not trust and verify. Right? We're in the age of, someone made an accusation anonymously on the internet. They must be telling the absolute wholehearted truth. Never mind, they never provide any evidence of the sort. Goes on to say here, this one's great. Anna Tessier says, wow, Henry Cavill, I'm so utterly sorry that the Me Too movement has inconvenienced you. I'm so sorry. Roll my eyes emoji. Yes. It's inconvenienced him in finding a mate, a suitable partner, someone he wants to be with, right? Someone that he hasn't met yet, but he's honestly afraid to because, well, something bad could happen. And again, that is a very valid fear. We don't know. As I pointed out before, we live in a society that loves to watch people burn. Loves these accusations to come in, loves to put them on the altar of social media, have them beg for their life, their livelihood, their career, their legacy, their legend, and then just cast them aside. One more victim to the fire. One more victim to social media. Because it has a tendency of destroying lives. There's a reason why many of us call it a cancer, because it is. Any other people here commenting on it as well, right? I love this one here from Jess. Henry Cavill is afraid to approach women because he's afraid of being called a rapist in the wake of the Me Too movement and prefers to chase women because he's old-fashioned. You know what? I'm afraid of Henry being raped. Prick. Which is a valid fear. Jess here has a valid fear. Nobody wants to be raped. It's not something that you're into. That is, unless you are a UC Santa Barbara student who goes on Craigslist to find some guy to do it in public, and then you accuse him of rape, and then he has to defend himself by saying you asked for it, by providing information that you did ask for it, and then he's exonerated, and then you go to jail. That actually happened in 2014, by the way. Just putting that out there. Just as an example that some people out there do want to. But at the same time, false accusations are a reality. A person in the public eye dealing with this is a reality. But the average person out there doesn't understand that. They don't get that. They don't get that at all. They want to just judge from a distance. Oh, I'm afraid of being assaulted. Well, yeah, you are afraid of being assaulted, and you should be afraid of being assaulted. That's something I think a lot of people live with out there, and that's an unfortunate thing. I don't want to say you should be. You shouldn't be afraid to. What I mean by that is, like, we live in an age where, like, I understand the fears, what I'm trying to say. However, can't he also be afraid of being falsely accused, because we do live in an age where that happens? Keep in mind, rain statistics are just like, they're so bad. Because a Rain statistic was not brought on by questioning women about whether or not they've been assaulted. It's whether or not they live in fear of being assaulted. So Jess here would actually be part of that statistic, even though, at least from this particular tweet, I have no idea, I can't speak to her as a person, but she has never been assaulted. But she lives in fear of that, therefore it would add to that particular mindset, particular statistic. Kind of makes you think about it a little bit, doesn't it? Makes you kind of question where these things come from. Now, anyway, I just want to kind of run down here. Henry Cavill responded. It says here that having seen the reaction to an article in particular about my feelings on dating and the Me Too movement, I just want to apologize for any confusion and misunderstanding this may have created. Insensitivity was absolutely not my intention. In light of this, I like to clarify and confirm that I've always and will continue to hold women in the highest regard, no matter the type of relationship, whether it be friendship, professional, or significant other. And that's a great way to approach everybody. Just treat everyone with respect. And ultimately, he's afraid of not getting that brought back on him. He's afraid of being in a position where he could be, you know, blackmailed, or he could have his career destroyed because this kind of thing exists. And if you don't believe me, Brian Banks is a good example. Max Temkin from Cards Against Humanity is a good example. He was falsely accused. He came out defending it. He was attacked by people like the ones who are attacking Henry Cavill here, saying, no, don't come out. Don't defend yourself, right? Not that Henry Cavill himself has been accused, but he's afraid of that. He's afraid of having everything he's built been destroyed. And so as a result, he would rather go back to an ex-relationship that didn't work out, that puts him in a bad position, all because he's afraid of what could happen. Now, what does that tell you about how the movement has changed the psyche of some men? This is not about equality. This is not about a 50-50 parity. This is about controlling someone through fear. And this is about people not acknowledging that. But they want to be heard. They want to have their experiences be talked about, but they don't want to acknowledge that there are people out there that are vindictive and that they're evil, that they will do these malicious acts to destroy somebody else. And if someone, you know, you can sit there and say, I've never been assaulted, but I live in fear of being assaulted every single day. And then that's your valid fear, by the way. And then he, on the other hand, goes, I've never assaulted someone, but I'm afraid of being accused as being an assaulter. And you look at that and go, no, that's not the right emotion to have. Who makes you the judge, jury, executioner here? Who gives you that right to tell him that his fear is not valid? Instead of mocking him and doing the why not go, I understand your fear. Here's mine. Maybe a conversation happens. Maybe he realizes that it's not as bad as he might think in his head, that he hasn't, you know, that he's built it up a little bit too much. And maybe he can not have that, because he can have that dialogue, that understanding, that compassion, that sympathy, that empathy from another person. Instead, he's met with, I just don't want to be raped, and you're a prick for saying that you might be raped. It's not gonna solve the issue. Not gonna solve the problem. And quite frankly, you're a dick if you do it. There are problems with sexual assault and sexual harassment in our society, 100%. There is clearly things that need to be done. There are clearly things that need to happen in order to make sure this doesn't happen again. We need to teach everybody not to do that. We need to get more people into therapy if they're having those thoughts and those urges, because there's always a power dynamic in many cases. We need to do more to break down the taboo nature of mental health, and I think we would see ourselves dropping this statistic down. RAINN needs to recalibrate how they promote the statistic. College campuses need to recalibrate how they always tried to push those statistics. The Title IX on college campuses needs to be overhauled as a way to allow for to not allow for false accusations to happen, or to allow for actual due process to take place. There are so many problems that are coming up from dealing with sexual assault in our society from a multitude of areas that need to be worked on. But a guy expressing fear because the way he views courting, and he's afraid of what could happen, is something that is as valid as your fear. Because we live in a world where both exist. And to act like one doesn't is not only malicious, it's ignorant. And people should know better. But I also leave it to you. I want to know your thoughts on this one. Is he right? Is he wrong? Where do you stand on the subject matter? The comment should be a lot of fun. Let me know. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe, and check back often for more content from me. If you enjoyed this video, please consider becoming a patron today for just $1 per month over at patreon.com/mundanemat.